Yeah.
So
Very
Dave,
fortunate.
you had Myrick, as part of the crew, and then he was running the crew. And then how does the transition take where he gets into the cockpit instead of
Yeah.
you
For a while.
alongside Johnny?
Yeah. For a while.
No, just joking.
Backup driver.
No, it was he it was just another step, if you will, that Myrick was ready for. I mean, he and so when he first got in, and I don't know when your first race was, Myrick, quite frankly, I forget. I do remember
Sarasota.
Was it Sarasota?
Sarasota Super Cat. Yep. Was the first time I was driving. I had snuck in the back seat of the 46 Skater a couple times. But
I remember that one.
just and a lot of riding around, whether it was with you at the lake, testing the boat because Johnny wasn't around because he was in Miami, or testing the boat with whoever. But and then a lot of the time at races, I mean, when you have an unlimited boat, my tool bag was beside me all the time, and whether it was in the back seat of one of these 46 Skater had a back seat, the 50 Mystic had a back seat, and I'd go test with them, and then I'd get out and go over the bilges real quick, and then hop back in, and we'd do a couple more laps and just make sure everything's good, because that was my responsibility.
We took delivery of our Mystic in Sarasota, and Johnny and I took it out. Myrick got in the back with his toolkit. We thought we better at least try to run this thing a little bit before we put it, and race it the next day. And I think we had gone out there, and on the first lap, we're going down, and Johnny's starting to let it roll. And next thing you know is this explosion. I mean, it sounded like an explosion went off in the boat, and a rush of water came up with a force that we were running over 100 miles an hour.
Wow.
And I remember I pinned my head to the window. I think Myrick thought he was dead, probably.
I thought I was drowning.
We had blown the safety hatch off.
Yeah, blown the whole to where it was gone. And not like down there flapping. It was gone, ripped the hinges out, ripped everything out. And I thought we went over because there was so much water coming in. And it was a lot because we were turning. And that's when the water deflected off the side of the tunnel and then back up to the top of to the tunnel and got under an edge and ripped it down. And I even put my regulator in. I mean, I thought we were upside down. There was so much water hit me. And you guys think the brand new boat.
I was heading for the beach. I didn't know what happened.
I thought we were sinking. Yeah.
I could still see out this side window, and I was going to beach the boat,
And once he straightened the wheel out, it started clearing out. But talk about a lot of, now the water's going by with this big old, it's probably, I don't know, 24 inches wide by 30-inch long hole in the bottom of the cockpit, big old giant. I actually sat in the boat yesterday, and I was thinking about that when I was sitting in the boat.
Was it?
Yeah. And then we worked all night. I remember we slowed down, and the guys in the helicopter, because we had a support helicopter with us, and they go, "You guys all right?" And we're like, "We have a problem in here, but we're going to make it back." And then we'd start to slow down, and we'd slow down, more water would come in. You got a brand new 50 Mystic, just, rigged by TNT Custom Marine, gorgeous, like the most beautiful thing I'd ever seen at the time. And it is just getting injected with salt water behind the dash, everywhere. And we actually somebody drove to the land and got the escape hatch off of,
I think it was Oscar, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Dave Callan's long light boat. And we put a new hinge and new hatch on it that night.
But then we taped it.
Yeah. Then
we taped it because like if something happens, you're not going out that door.
Yeah, exactly. And that was that boat. It was the only race that boat was all black, and it said Bud Select on the side. Man, it was awesome.
Yep. Well, anyway, he like that was an example of how he would go with this toolkit a lot and help us out. And then I think
you're putting enough situation. You put in enough situations, you start to learn, how to survive, I guess.
So I think we went to I remember
St. Clair
St. Clair was your first win, I think, in the Super Cat. And I still have a picture of the 3 boats or the 2 boats together, and you, Johnny, and I holding the flags there.
Yeah, 2 flags. Yeah. You in the middle, me on one side, Johnny on the other, with 2 flags, a 36 skater and a 42 MTI Super Cat class. So when I forget, you were going like 183 down the straights and the little and the
fast.
183 in the straightaways on St. Clair River, and then that's the same race that Abrams and Steve Curtis had rolled over right in front of us.
Over. Yeah.
And the reliable carriers, first race for that boat. So,
man,
yeah, we were on.
That's the one I'm still racing against. That's the Pro Floors boat, I think.
I know. Isn't that amazing?
I still have to worry about that son of a bitch.
that boat's been over a couple times.
Yeah, and it's still fast as hell.
Well, speaking of going over, in an earlier podcast, Myrick had said that in one race, I think it was Orange Beach, Myrick?
Oh, yeah.
You and Johnny.
Yeah, we got to talk about this.
Flipped the boat, and Dave just happened to be overhead in the helicopter watching.
I mean, literally, I'm looking up and he's looking down.
Yeah.
And what they say in the helicopter?
Well, we sat there, of course, and it does seem like forever waiting for them to get out. I know it's not that long, but when you're waiting up above, it's like, come on, guys, let's go. Yeah. And then when they did get out, we were still there for a while, but they wouldn't look up. I was giving the thumbs up. They were looking down. I'm like, okay. So I said, we can go now. And that's when the pilot of the helicopter said, the first time he spoke, he said, "Wow, what was that?" And I said, "About $100,000. Get me back to the airport, please."
Yeah.
And I think it ended up being like $120,000 or something.
Yeah, bad day for my bank account.
Yeah. But
and Myrick remembers it that he thought that he wouldn't be able to race for you anymore. Yeah. And then he also remembers that Johnny going to bat for him.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, Johnny, I think, was they were strolling pretty hard into that turn. I know they went up on it. And actually I thought from above, I thought you caught it, and then it got away again, it looked like, and it happened pretty obviously very quick, but it was just one of those things. But the big concern was, I just remember it seemed like forever waiting for these guys to get out. That's your biggest concern. So, but
and that one being a 4-seater with that escape hatch in the back was tougher to get out of them compared to what we're doing now with the dashes away and what we learned like when we built the Mystic and with the escape hatch forward of you and all that. So, it's a lot roomier in the boats now compared to the 42 MTIs back then.
Well, a lot of that stuff, was pretty innovative and new as we came through, and I think we were the first ones to put a rudder on a catamaran, at high speeds. And now, I mean, if you run a certain class at certain speeds, I just think a rudder is almost a necessity in the turns if you're really going to be out in front. But
only thing I'll tell you this. So I was testing the boat on Saturday morning with Tyler. There's a lot of times when you're not on a close course and you're at Lake of the Ozarks or wherever, which is where we test most of the time, is you'll have a debris, or you'll see last second you'll see a piece of wood, or you'll see a 4x4 or 6x6. I'm so used to, like, if I don't have time to react, I'll take it right down the tunnel. But when I have to take it down the tunnel and now there's a rudder in the middle, I'm like, oh man, I'm going to try to get it off to the side. I can't put it right down the center. So that was something that was weird feeling to me Saturday. I'm like, because right last minute, Tyler goes 6x6. And I'm like, yeah, where do I go?
Wow.
Oh, man, I hope that don't hit the rudder, and it didn't, thank goodness. But now instead of having a 5-foot gap, you only got a 2-foot gap to put that piece of wood in, because at high, say 140, 150 miles an hour, it's hard to maneuver around that kind of stuff.
Yeah, you don't want to be moving them too much at that speed anyway.
No.
So of all the
But
victories, Dave, which is the most special to you or the most memorable?
They were obviously they were all very special. One of the most memorable to me was for a national championship out at Lake Mead, and we had had a lot of trouble in testing, and the guys
screwed up.
we they worked all night to try to get us back to where we could even race. And we went out there the next morning, and it was, I think, CRC and ourselves were tied in points, and the winner of the race was winner take all as far as the national title goes. And as we started, they got a really good start, and the race had, I forget how many turns in it. I'm going to just guesstimate 7, maybe 6 or 7 turns.
It was a cool course.
And so if I would dive in to pass him, at the pin, Jeff Harris would pinch me off, which it's racing. And if I'd go to the outside to try to go around him on the outside in a turn, he'd push me out. So we went the whole race like this. And I think we got down to 2 laps to go, maybe, Myrick. And we were coming into lap traffic. And so I know they went to the inside as we came up on the lap traffic. They went to the inside, and at the very last minute, just a split second, I didn't even tell Johnny, it just happened so quick, I just cut it. Went behind Billy Moff, who was in Supercat, and got hosed down as we went across his way, came out on the other side, and then down the straightaway, and we were able to get around him. That whole finish
right
was
in front
probably
of us. Happened right in front
down
of
the
us.
beach where all the teams were set up.
Yeah.
But that race was probably one of the most memorable, most exciting, because it had been so frustrating, the entire race trying to get around them, and they did a fantastic job at driving, and so it was just
Mike DeFries and Jeff Harris. They were fast in that class.
They really were, and but yeah, that was probably, for me personally, one of my most memorable.
Yeah.
But all of them
what
were very
about yours,
special.
Myrick?
What's that?
What about yours?
With Dave's team?
With Dave's teams, yeah.
I'd probably put that up there because we broke a gearbox in testing, and we came back and we broke an because they let us test real early to test our gearbox. We burned an intercooler in testing that Sunday morning, and we put a new intercooler in. I mean, and when you lose an intercooler, it's not an easy job. It's hydraulic motor, get all the water out of the engine, change the oil, put the new intercooler in, all that. And I'd put it there with Dave. Johnny mentioned that when you asked Johnny, when we interviewed Johnny, he had mentioned that exact same race. And then then we were talking about one of the Performance Boat Center races that we had when we finally got around Billy Moff at the end in Key West. But racing with Dave, I'd have to put that up there as one of the best, because
it was one of the most exciting ones I know for us.
Yeah.
Sounds like it. Yeah.
There was a lot of good ones. But yeah, it sticks out, being on that beach. And I remember it was AMF was big time then. Hagen was rolling hard, and we were all right on the beach. All of the support rigs were right down there, and I remember standing on the back of the support rig with the gate all the way up in the air. So you're in an elevated area right there watching it all go down. And I'm literally like this, because every time they had went out and tested, they had broke. And I mean, we worked all night, and we probably went back and got showered and maybe an hour of sleep and came back out and broke it again, and then went and fixed it. And I mean, we were fixing it just to push them off and go, good luck. And it was a 70, 80 mile race to where they had to run the shit out of it the whole time.
We did.
Yeah. And it's like, man, I can't believe it's still going.
That was what was so ironic. We were literally WFO the whole race. I mean, it was just, you know, and prior to that, we couldn't even hardly make a lap before something would break. I mean, it was like, this isn't looking good, guys. But keep my favorite courses. Of course, I was always partial to Sarasota and Key West, and they were special. But Puerto Rico was very memorable as well. I think everybody on the entire island turned out for that race. I mean,
wow,
there was just so many people.
It was so hot. And a lot of anticipation because we had shipped the boats over there on a ship, and Mike Pallad went over there and got everything lined out, and it was a big deal to ship all that equipment over there for OSS and then have it sitting there when we got there. So that was neat too. I think of a lot of Key Wests that were fun.
There was a lot of pressure on Mike. I mean, I remember telling him, I was saying, like, "No, look, Mike, there's no bumps, bruises, scratches, or errors on these things now. They're yours. I'll see you in Puerto Rico." You're talking about the hauler and the boat. And he did a great job.
We went to Canada, going through customs and all that. When you have a support rig full of stuff, and they wanting to itemize everything. I mean, you got props and gears and gearboxes and engines and scooters and beer and coolers. It's like crazy where they're like, what are you guys think you're doing taking all this into Canada? You're like, well, we don't know, we haven't done this before. So, and then coming back. So it was, but like Dave was saying earlier, it's like all these experiences you learn from, and I mean, tell you what, going to all these Anheuser-Busch conventions and meeting all these big time names, Dale Jr. and Robbie Gordon and Wee Man and
Cedric
all these,
the Entertainer. I mean, I having dinner with him and Junior and Bernstein at the same table, and I mean, Cedric was just hilarious. I mean, just having dinner with him, you're like, you can't even eat. You're laughing so hard, just the way it would look and talk, and just amazing people.
Yeah.
Myrick and Wee Man.
Yeah.
Having
we were partying hard, me and Wee Man.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's smacking me around.
Myrick. Well, they hit him once, and Myrick said, "Is that all you got?" Then, he had more.
He did. I got it. Come on. But we became buddies then.
We were all laughing. It was all in fun. I mean, but he was.
We went out the next night even. I got to hang around with somebody shorter than me.
Great times. That was that little bar where we went with Junior, and that was in New Orleans.
I introduced. I didn't know either one of these people, but Mike Metzger was standing beside me, the dirt bike guy, and he was like in a full broke back. He had broken his back. I think he was doing a flip over the Bellagio fountain or something like that, but he had heard my name, and he had said, "Your name's what?" And I said, "Myrick." And he goes, "My son's name's Myra." And I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." So we got talking, and then he's there. I go, "You want to meet Dale Jr.? He's right here." He's like, "Oh yeah, I do." And I was like, "Hey, Dale Jr., this is Mike Metzger." I didn't know either one of them. But anyway, it was pretty funny.
That's funny. So Dave, in our previous podcast, I was kind of picking Myrick's brain on what it's like to go 200 miles an hour. And so he was kind of walking it down for me as far as, run the shootout. What is it like for you, especially doing the kilo run where you're sustaining 200 plus miles an hour? I mean, you've always obviously been a speed demon. What is that like for you?
You almost, and to put it in perspective, 200 mile an hour is a football field per second. Jeez. So, as I'm sure Myrick told you, you're looking way down for any potential hazards. But the boat would take on different personalities regardless of what whole manufacturer it was. And the cats, it seemed like, like 180 to 190 or so was one, but then anything above 190, 195, it was really you're out there. I mean, you know that you're just you're somewhere where you shouldn't be. I'll put it that way.
Yeah.
But it's so exciting. Your adrenaline is, rushing so hard that you just have to stay with it and stay focused. Um, and then when it's over, it's like, wow, that was nice, but wow, I'm glad that's over too. It's not like you want to go right back out and do it again.
Yeah.
So everything takes on a different tone in the boat. Everything takes on in some regards it gets quiet. Like the wheel, as an example, will get much smoother. I mean, the quivering or the shaking, it almost stops at the wheel. The boat ride itself gets smoother.
Because you're floating.
Exactly. You're flying the boat, and but the decibel level is really up there. Like in our case, with the piston boats, you'll be turning like 7,400 RPM and just letting them sit there. And I know I've got that onboard video, the one kilo that I did at the lake, and you can see the tack sitting there at 7,400. You can hear the motors just screaming, and you sure don't want something to go wrong at that point in time because it's out there on its own. But it's very exciting. It's a hell of a rush, and
How many Top Guns you have, Dave?
8, I believe.
Yeah.
I think
Wow.
8 Top Guns, and all of them were fun and exciting, and
Yeah.
loved every
I
minute
know when
of
you
it.
look at
So,
that, when you look at that trophy and you get it to the side where your names are, there it's covered. It's pretty cool.
yeah, and what a great event it is. Um, Jeff Dorhire, back when he was with it and at Shooters, and then it went on, of course, and Ron Dugan has done wonders with it. But it's such a great event for the lake, and um, it, it it does so much, I think, for the lake itself, the businesses, bringing people in, and it
Yeah,
may not be,
notoriety.
yeah, it may not be just what they, uh, you know, what rooms they rent that weekend, or the places they eat that week, uh, but then they come back, to buy um, a
A
condo
home.
or a house, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's just real asset. It draws a lot of people, and that's why I was also um, really pleased to help promote and get started the lake race again, because it's same thing. It helps get the summer kicked off, but it's good for the lake. It's good for the businesses, I feel like, and yeah, I think it's for a good cause, and I don't know. I've always enjoyed the shootout, still do, and I'm sure always will, especially the street party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I owe the shootout a lot. I wouldn't have known about Go Fast boats at the level that they were without the shootout. So I
Yeah.
owe the shootout a lot.
I think that was the
So
first time that we worked together. Was um, I tossed you a uniform, and you were catching Johnny and I coming in. I think
yeah,
that year was
yeah, I remember that. Yep.
yeah,
Shooters 21.
exactly. Yep, into the
Yep.
dock.
Yep.
But
I see those pictures back then. I just think, man, seems like so long ago, but then it seems like yesterday too.
yeah, I look different. I have to look again to make sure it's myself. It's been a while.
You're looking good,
But
buddy.
no, it was great times, really good times, and
Yeah.
I just love what they're doing with it, and I think it's in really good hands and just getting bigger.
Yeah,
It
for
really
sure.
took a big step in Powerboat at the time, came on board, and now I've got like you, Ray, and so many people promoting it and participating that it's just like a magnet.
Yeah. I was talking to Bob Teague yesterday. He had called about something, and I think he said he's coming in on like Friday or
Sunday.
Saturday. Yeah. And staying through I mean, he's there for like a week and a day, So
Yeah.
Yeah,
talk about, I remember when nothing happened till, Saturday morning and it's over on Sunday afternoon. Now it's a week and a day long. So with
Yeah.
all the different events going on. So
yeah, it really is, and And again, it's just that much better, for the lake area and the chamber and the businesses down there. So, um, and so many people have you can't even start to mention the names like Performance Marine. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
they've stepped up and they their sponsorship, and then just all they do for the lake. It's not just the shootout, throughout the year. So
Yeah, we have a lot of events.
The lake's really, really been very fortunate, I think, and um, with people working together, and it's been great for the lake, great for the state of Missouri, really. So
Yeah.
good event.
Well, clearly you're still passionate about the industry and powerboating. When and how did you retire your teams and step away from
Well,
competition?
when the sponsorship of the Anheuser-Busch came to an end, when InBev bought out Anheuser-Busch, um, um, I still had a goal, and that a personal goal, and it got back to what I did at the beginning to get me into this stuff, and that was the shootout. And I had a personal goal of wanted to break 200 at the shootout with piston power. Dave Callan and John Kosker had done it, with the turbines. And but I'm an old gearhead, and I go back to my street racing days, and just and talk with Lucky, about it, and he said, "Well, let's build a set of alcohol motors." So we still had things to do, and plus Myrick was still busy at that point with servicing boats, and so it was a natural. But once I broke the 200 at the shootout, it's like my personal goals were satisfied in a boat.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same. Almost happened with motorcycles too. At the time, I just reached certain goals, and so it's time to retire. And I still enjoy it. I'm still, I just love watching these guys.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, Dave will always give me a good luck, and then on the Monday after the race or the Tuesday, he'll catch up. He'll go, "So what do you think? What happened? And
well,
then
I
we'll
don't want to
go over it."
bother him during a
Yeah,
race.
yeah.
I know how hectic it is. So you don't want
Yeah.
to. But yeah, it's I'm
We'll talk
watching
about
it.
it, and he'll swing by the shop, and he'll see all the carnage that I caused, like in Sarasota, and there's a whole shop
Yeah.
full of broken boats, and he's like, "Ooh, yeah, good luck."
That one did take its toll. So
Oh yeah. And Dave has a pontoon boat with a 400 on it. He's got a Sea Ray, and he's got a 388 skater with 1350s, and he go blasts around in that and gets his kicks every once in a while. So
yeah.
So the passion's still there.
yeah.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
still a sweet ride. I just don't have that high speed goal like I used to. I get up around 140, man. I'm like, oh, okay, well,
Good. Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, run up
But
and see Dale on, you can get up there quick now.
yeah, it does. It's a great ride, and going
Yeah.
up there, and if you want to blast it up to 160, I mean, it'll jump right up there with you. But it's just a nice little boat. So
Yeah.
still love
Well,
it.
Dave, you got to have a sense of pride, like almost like a patriarch of all these guys like Myrick and Johnny and everybody that was on your team still having success in the industry.
Well, yeah, and Johnny, had a success before we came along. I mean, he just continues to build on that, and he's really, got just a great guy, and he has an awesome attitude about things, and but all of them seeing Myrick excel is very rewarding. Just and from a personal note, just seeing Myrick and Missy in the family. Because their first date, I remember that on the Sea Ray, and now here they are with 4 children. And Preston, I held him I've got a picture holding Preston when he first came home. He's pretty young,
Wow.
and
Now he's 14, wanting to go racing.
and he can hammer. He can hammer a wave runner pretty hard too. I mean, he's extremely. He's got his daddy's talent. You can see.
Maybe
you have your hands full there, buddy. Just saying.
I know we talked about that on the last podcast, and yeah.
But no, it's a great time. I've still, got one of my old motorcycles, Pro Street motorcycle sitting around, and I don't know, just a lot of. I still enjoy, zipping around in a pretty quick car sometimes, and I like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
It's all
definitely
within limits now. I mean,
he's
it's
definitely still a gearhead.
yeah.
It definitely sounds like it. Yeah.
Think I always will be, and I'll always enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Funny, Myrick, I was telling Dave earlier that I was browsing through his Facebook page just trying to get some questions and such, and I'd seen a post where Gino Gargiulo had posted on his page the cover of Poker Runs America that Dave was on, right? And that was in the
Silver Surfer.
early to mid 2000s, and I told him that was the very first magazine that me and my boat were in.
Really?
Baby. Yeah. And so it was like I was like honored to be in the same magazine as Dave Scott. And
I'll
so
listen to that.
fast forward all these years later, I still have that same boat, and we're doing a podcast with.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's really neat.
He's got a 600 SCI in there now.
Just
Oh
put
my
it in
gosh.
there. Yeah. Mercury Racing, put that engine in there. Bob Teague installed it for me, and I couldn't be happier.
I bet it can be a handful.
I had started with 496 HO, and as you know, I don't have to tell you that just wasn't enough. And so I was chasing custom engines for years, and now going back to Mercury Racing stock power is like nothing better.
Isn't that amazing? You just turn the key. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love them. Mercury's really, really just a huge asset to everything we do now.
Yeah.
So
how do you like those 1350s in your skater?
I really I do. Myrick, told me a long time ago I would really like them. I think Johnny was the first one that said, "Wow, they torque like the 1550 Sterlings." Remember him saying that? And but yeah, I love them. They're just turnkey motors. They do a great job. In my case, with the 388, 4000 is just a real comfortable 4200, 95, 100 miles an hour. The boat's, everybody's happy. The boat's happy. The motors are happy. I'm grinning, and it's just, who would have thought? And then I think Mark, the late Mark Wetterhire, put over 200 hours on his, and so I mean, that's saying a lot, because we used to rebuild uppers after every race and completes after every other race. So
the
reliability is fantastic.
And the fact that if something's out of parameter, Guardian comes in and says, "Stop, dummy," kind of that kind of stuff.
It did that to me one morning. I didn't give her enough time to warm up, and I thought I had. And
I think you have, and then it says, "Oh, your oil temperature hasn't reached 190 degrees. Get out of the throttle."
And that,
and then it goes away.
At first I was like, "What happened?" But so it's these computers, they still get a hold of you some one way or another anymore.
That's right.
And that's just good for you. I mean, that's how you.
Yeah.
That's how I started out years ago. So
So I mean, you guys,
Dave's dad actually, my kids when we were in Cocoa Beach. I was telling the story how his dad had worked at what was it? It was an Apollo mission.
It was the Geminis, and he fabricated the consoles. Each one of the capsules, the Gemini capsules, were custom fit for each astronaut. So when I was young, we lived in Cocoa Beach, and I was fortunate enough to meet the original 7 astronauts down there. But Dad fabricated the consoles, and then each one of them was fit or made to fit around that astronaut, and as well as his seat, because obviously Alan Shepard was very tall, where Gus Grissom wasn't near as tall, so I mean, yeah, but we'd watch they call them the birds. We watched the birds go off. They were doing a lot of testing back then with the Atlas rockets, as well as the Redstones and the Titans, and a lot of failures. And at night, they'd put 10 floodlights up, and that would tell you there was going to be a launch, and then you just sit on the beach and wait. And then as those lights start going, that was the final 10 seconds. And when the lights
cool,
were out,
That's
up would go the bird,
That's cool. I didn't
Lots
know
of
that.
stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, obviously you guys have such a storied history together, and you guys are obviously, there's just so much mutual respect for one another. Mark,
For sure.
give me in one word that would describe Dave to the world.
Gentleman. He is a true gentleman, and he is. Everybody that I've seen come up to the pits, hey, let me get you a shirt. You want something to drink? Just always super nice, genuine. Even though, something we might have just broke something, he's not going to be like, hey, I'm busy, get out of here. He's going to take his time and be a gentleman to him. So that's what I would say.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Dave, can you describe Myrick in one word?
I don't know. One word. Myrick seriously wears so many hats. I mean, he's a class act. He's brilliant. If I had to guess, if I had to use one word, I'd just say I think Myrick's brilliant in his ability to, like I said, grasp his surroundings and adapt. But we've had some. It's definitely mutual respect. We've had some great times, and glad we got together when we did and went through them for sure. And I mean, all the people and experiences, you just can't cover them all.
That's what it is. It's the experience. I mean, there's everywhere from being in New York City to being in Pickwick, Tennessee, to being in Las Vegas, to being in Puerto Rico, to being in Montreal. It's like you take all those things
and all the people you meet at all these places, plus the ones that you see at every race. You adopt. I mean, you have these friendships and.
Yeah, and when we were sponsored by Anheuser-Busch, it wasn't just, hey, you're going racing. It was like, hey, it's Friday night. There's a bar over here that is our number one seller of, Bacardi Silver or Bud Light or whatever it is. You guys are going to go out there and you're going to put the boat on display in front of this place, and you're going to sign autographs and you're going to hand out posters and you're going to put on a show. And I mean, it's like, whoa. Really? We just tested all day, and then now we're going to do this. And oh, wait, now we get back to the pit and it's 9:30, 10 o'clock. You got to go find dinner, and we got to be up at 6 o'clock to get the boat in the water first thing to go test the next morning. And, it wasn't 6 or 8 races a year. I mean, it was 10 to 12 races a year at the time. And then we had other events that we went on. So
some of those appearances. Some of those appearances, you're like, really? What are we doing here? Remember? I mean, like,
it might be a gas station that you just opened up or something like that, but
out in front of a supermarket. I mean,
yeah. I've been in front of the Kmart in Marathon, Florida. Like, people are like, "What are you doing here?" Like, I don't know what I'm doing here. You want a poster?
I know. We were there a couple times.
Yeah.
But is that the Publix is there? I think. And, they move.
I mean, it's just
a lot of product.
Yeah, and it's funny. Like, you'd get to some areas where the distributor really like, you're good. You don't want. But then you get to another place where he'd be like, you're gonna go here. You're gonna go here. You're gonna go here, and you're like, really? Tonight? It's 6 o'clock. And like, oh, yep, you're going. Then you go and do your thing. And it's one of the things that I see with that I learned that I'm seeing it. Not that Monster. I just notice it being back with a big name team, and it's a different story. I mean, the reason that you're boat has a key sponsor on it because you have a lot more obligations. And I see that stress coming on Tyler and Lindsay and me and Jake and the crew. You know, they have a corporate sponsor that people are like, hey, what happened? You know, instead of just explaining it to a fan, now you have somebody that's going, you know, why did that gearbox break? And you're like, well, I'm trying to figure that out.
Responsibility I mentioned earlier, you know, that you have to the sponsor. You know, you don't have to win every race, but it's the overall results, and I'm sure with
you feel the stress.
You do. That's what I was going to say. I think I'm sure with knowing Tyler and Lindsay and them and the whole crew like I do, they feel it. I mean, they feel it probably more than the sponsor feels it, if you will.
Yeah. But that's the reason. That's the reason some people
makes
strive.
them so good. That's what makes them so great. You know.
Yeah.
Is they do feel that responsibility, and therefore they'll rebound. And when they do, they'll be a lot stronger. And sponsor's going to be pleased with his selection. I'm sure of that. So.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I want to thank you very much for coming on with us. This has been quite the honor for me to go take a walk down memory lane with the two of you on such successful teams of racing. And I just am thrilled to have spent this much time with you talking about your career. So thank you very much.
Ray, and I'm really thanks for having me. Really, I enjoy watching you and Myrick on this podcast. You know, every chance that you have one. I know you got busy for a while there, but they're really informative. All of them have been really, really enjoyable to watch. So thanks for having me. Really enjoyed it.
Thanks, Dave. Well, yeah, gentleman, Dave, brilliant, Myrick. Thank you guys for your time.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you. This has been another episode of the Boats and Bros podcast. I'm Ray Lee, Myrick Coil, and the Dave Scott. And don't forget to like, rate, subscribe, and share. And stay tuned for more episodes. Gentlemen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
This podcast is powered by Speedboat Magazine. Subscribe now at speedboat.com for 9 power-packed current issues a year direct to your mailbox.